And welcome everybody to another Mark Bishop Show episode. There's a new food initiative set to end animal testing in food and beverage businesses. Now that sounds good. While PETA has
Mhm.
pursued many food and beverage companies to ban, circa around 1920, animal tests used today, many still conduct, fund, or commission experiments on animals. Well, my special guest is Dr. Francis Cheng, who's going to describe PETA's groundbreaking Eat Without Experiments global certification program. Now, that makes it easy for food shoppers to know which companies have modernized and which have not. And by the way, folks, Dr. Francis Cheng not only runs her own restaurant, but is also a chief scientist of international laboratory methods for people for the ethical treatment of animals. Welcome, Dr. Cheng.
Hi, glad to be here.
Okay, so what is this PETA's Eat Without Experiments initiative and why is it needed?
PETA Eat Without Experiments is a new global initiative. And like you say, the goal is to eliminate the animal experiments from the food and beverage industry. I think a lot of people still don't know that food companies, they experiment on animals and they kill them for profit, for foods that we eat every day. For example, right now we have a campaign on the Oreo maker. The name of the company is Mondelez International. They have paid experimenters to force feed human feces to animals. They also feed them with candies, chips, and crackers, things that they make with or without food fiber and kill them so that they can attempt to make some bogus marketing claim that they've somehow made their junk food products healthier with these fibers in order to trick people like you into buying more of their product. So on our website, that is peta.org/EWE, people can speak out and urge Mondelez International to stop this cruel and unnecessary and wasteful practice. All you have to do is click on that Take Action button on the website. What it does is sends emails to the CEO of Mondelez and tell him directly how you feel about this and urge him to stop this practice. The program also has a searchable database. Like you said, it allows people to search and see which food and beverage brands are made by companies that experiment on animals so that people can make informed purchasing decisions. And like you mentioned, that we have already convinced many companies to stop experimenting on animals, including Unilever, Ferrero, and Barilla. And right now the program has more than 400 companies and brands that have signed on and banned experiments on animals. But there are so many more bad players that we need people to know about, including the Oreo maker Mondelez, and we need people to join us in this fight. And we as consumers, we hold immense power over these for-profit companies, just like how we shift the entire cosmetics industry away from animal testing. Together we can do it again with the food and beverage industry.
Yeah, it's a big goal, but most animal testing
Mm-hmm.
in the food and beverage industry is done to make marketing claims, isn't it, about the
Mm-hmm.
purported health
Mm-hmm.
benefits of products, as you were saying. But this is from
Mm-hmm.
juices to candy bars to breakfast cereals, right through to liquor. I mean, that's a big
Mm-hmm.
spread. These tests, they're
Mm-hmm.
not required by law, and they are unscientific due to the vast physiological differences between humans and other species.
Mm-hmm. You said it all. So let's talk about the law, for example. It depends on where you are. In the US, there's no regulations that would require animal experiments for food. For food safety regulation, for example, it doesn't require animal experiments, and that's because there are already many animal-free test methods that can be used to assess the food safety. These are like mostly in vitro methods, computer modeling methods. They're internationally recognized and approved by regulatory agencies. They're created with human physiology in mind. So they're actually better suited, they're more predictive than animal experiments for human food safety. For health claim regulations, health claim again being the most common thing that these companies are after and what they do these experiments for. These regulations in the US, Canada, and the European Union, they don't require animal experiments, they require human trials. And they actually don't
Hmm.
even accept the animal data as a standalone evidence. And in the regulation, it explains it's because human trials are the gold standard for food testing. like you said, the animals, they have different physiology from humans, and therefore the experimenting on animals, they actually cannot provide scientific information that are applicable for humans. Now, in other parts of the world, there are regulations for food that would trigger animal experiments, and in those situations, PETA's focus has been on changing the regulations themselves. PETA entities have an international team of scientists and lawyers, and we regularly meet with regulators and help them update the regulations. For example, we have convinced the Taiwan FDA to remove the animal experiments recommendation from 6 of its health claims regulations already, and there are 8 more in the works. And companies who face animal experiments that are required by law, they can also come to us for help. We provide consulting services in coming up with proposal strategies to convince these regulatory agencies to accept animal-free test methods. And these companies, even if they contribute to experiments that are required by law, they can still participate in this Eat Without Experiments program because there's a category that allows for animal experiments that are explicitly required by law.
I'm speaking with Dr. Francis Cheng. The website, by the way, folks, is www.eat without experiments, all one sentence, eatwithoutexperiments.peta.org. Now, a lot happens to these poor animals. I mean, they're typically killed, sometimes in very, very painful ways and dissected. What ethical research can food and beverage companies pursue, do you think, instead of animal testing?
Yeah, so when we're talking about everyday human food, the Oreos, cookies, candies, oatmeal, green tea, you name it, things that we buy and eat every day, these are safely, consumed every day without any issues. And in this situation, clinical studies can be done and actually have been done on the food that we eat every day. And you can find consenting human volunteers to participate in these studies. You don't need animal experiments. When human studies can be conducted, animal experiments are completely unnecessary. They don't contribute, they don't add more information to the scientific knowledge, and they're just cruel and wasteful. They're not needed. And for food that are novel, if they don't have a long history of safe human consumption, again, we have plenty of animal-free test methods that are internationally recognized and regulatory agencies approved that can be used to assess the safety. And once they're deemed safe, then you can do the clinical studies with no problem.
Well, to get this point across, folks, how about you get out of bed this morning, right? And someone says, let's do a little testing. Oh, okay. So we're going to force you to endure some force feeding. We're going to starve you, and then we're going to inject you with harmful substances. And then, oh, here's fun. We're going to make you run on treadmills or swim until you're exhausted. Maybe some electroshocking, maybe an infection with a disease, just for starters. Eh, Dr. Cheng?
Yeah, so these animals, they're intentionally and artificially made sick this way through all these ways that you just mentioned, so that the companies can test their food products on them and artificially cure the diseases. Yeah, and these are just cruel and unnecessary, and they're completely useless too. For example, if you test chocolates on dogs, for example, you will poison the dog and you will not prove the chocolate's health benefits, right? Same thing, you will not test the dog food on human babies. So why are we testing human food on other animals? It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah, with every species, we evolve differently to eat different things to begin with, and we have different physiological function. We process things differently. We react to things differently. So it's a completely pointless thing, wasteful and cruel. Yeah,
it is, Dr.
This
Cheng.
needs to stop. Yeah,
it is, and you're doing great work to try and prevent it. Eat Without Experiments, drpeta.org. More information about that. By the way, folks, Dr. Cheng, she left behind a decade-long career in animal experimentation to advocate for humane, human-relevant, animal-free research methods. And she's had a few victories, by the way, including animal testing by Barilla, Ferrero, and other food companies, and removing animal testing from certain food regulations in Taiwan. Good job, Dr. Cheng. Keep it up, okay?
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Dr.
Thank you so
Francis
much for
Cheng,
having
ladies
me.
and gentlemen,
Mhm.
on The Mark Bishop Show. And we'll be back with another episode soon.